Well, the USA is back on top, almost. Hi, I'm John McNeil, and this is the Invest Strong Network. Welcome. So, in the great game of global finance and attracting capital and investment into your shores, the United States of America has just been handed a ginormous victory courtesy of the People's Republic of China and its Communist Party. So, how so, you ask? Well, let's take a trip down memory lane a bit. So, since 2013, this Xi Jinping guy has been chairman of the Communist Party and thus de facto president of China. Now, he is and always has been a kind of an authoritarian character. And since his ascension to the presidency, China had, which was already a one-party state, communist state, had really begun to ramp up the authoritarian tendencies, and this has really begun to pick up speed in the last year and a half or so. Now, why do I call this a victory for the United States of America? Well, really, for the last 3 decades, it has been hoped by many persons around the world that China could kind of break the mold of authoritarian dictatorships, right? Because history has been unambiguously clear in its assumption that uh, authoritarian dictatorships are horrendous places to place money, right? So, whether we're talking about Nazi Germany or fascist Spain or fascist Italy or the old Soviet Union and its communist satellite states, or Saddam's Iraq, or Ferdinand Marcos's Philippines, or Argentina under Perón, or Chile, or Egypt, or Indonesia, or the Assad's Syria. These have all been just horrendous places for anyone to invest in, either in the regimes or in the companies that are forced to operate under the regimes. Now, it was hoped that, well, maybe China could break the mold because for sure this is an authoritarian regime, always has been, but they had begun to allow free markets to run with considerable speed. Many of their young people were actually sent to universities in the West, including the United States of America, and many of their companies, some state owned enterprises, but others not so much, they were allowed to list not only in their indigenous stock exchanges, but also on Western stock exchanges, including the New York Stock Exchange and the NASDAQ, right? Well, these are all clearly imprints of a capitalist mindset and a movement towards free flow of capital and ideas. Now, it's generally been hoped that with this free flow of capital and ideas, that eventually this would spill over into the political realm, and that some semblance of freedom, democracy, and the rule of law would eventually imprint itself on the PRC. Well, the last 6 years, and certainly the last year and a half or so, has proved that that's absolutely not the case, right? So, not only has Mr. Xi been made president for life, which are the three worst words translated into any language anywhere on this earth. That's the worst thing you could ever hear on an economic or political level. Not only that, but he has begun to basically crack down on the very mechanisms that have allowed for the financial flourishing and success of the capitalist aspect of the Chinese economy. Many of their best industrialists have been thrown in jail or have this serious cloud overhanging them. Some have actually been executed, believe it or not. Uh, Others whether they be in Hong Kong or even in Canada or the U.S. They're living under the cloud that at any time the regime could come extend its arm and grab them and reel them in. And also many of the enterprises that were quasi-private have basically been completely assumed by the state, the communist state. This stuff has spooked investors, as it rightfully should, and have left many running for the exits. Now, when they as they're heading for the exits, where will they go? Well, it's certainly my belief that many of them will rediscover the United States of America, because we actually have recently had our own brush with a leader with authoritarian tendencies and a party that was more than happy to help him get there, right? But the American system of freedom, democracy, and the rule of law drummed him and his ilk right out of office, right? And that, more than anything else, has reassured investors and industrialists all over the world that the United States of America is the place to be, right? Now, this is a priceless moment right now for our nation, the United States of America, to take advantage of this default handed to us by the P.R.C. Well, what can we do? Well, first of all, I think we need to overhaul the immigration system. One of the big issues that's causing massive problems in our economy is the fact that we have an aging workforce. We have many persons who are on government entitlement systems. These numbers will continue to grow as the years go on. We really need a younger, more vibrant workforce to take their place. And really the fastest and best way to do that is to allow more legal immigration. Also, we are at a point in time right now where many persons are bailing out of the workforce, the Great Resignation as it is known. This would be a wonderful opportunity for the federal government to work with the state and municipal governments to help persons who are transitioning from working for a company into micro entrepreneurship, which many of them really want to do. If they want to transition into micro entrepreneurship, let's do whatever we can to help them get there, right? And that would include many, many immigrants from Asia, the P.R.C., and Latin America, Africa, all of these immigrants who have come here, and they have this entrepreneur spirit in their ethos, and they really want to get started, set up shop here in the United States of America, or even for American people who want to do that, indigenous Americans who want to do that. Let's have these various layers of government work with them to get it done successfully. And that will once again kind of prove our mettle as the place to be, right? And the place to invest in. So when one examines all that has happened, the inescapable conclusion, certainly that I come to as a student of history and a student of the markets, is that economic progress, advancement, prosperity, these things are inexorably linked to the concepts of freedom, democracy, and the rule of law, right? And although it was hoped that the People's Republic of China could perhaps break that mold, the reality is it cannot and never could, right? That there's really no way that this structure, this communist authoritarian structure that they have over there could ever compete with the freedom, democracy, and the rule of law market that is the United States of America. really, at this point, I believe the greatest challenger to the American hegemony in economic matters would be the European Union, right? Because they are beginning to do things that make them much more of a direct competitor to the US. And most of their member states do, in fact, meet all the criteria to be very, very potent competitors to the United States of America. But for right now, our primary competitor has just defaulted and given us the victory, right? Let's take it and let's make the most of it. All right, those are my thoughts for this week. Please, if you found this video instructive, informative, hit that thumbs up button. I'd appreciate it. Thank you. Also, leave a comment. Let me know what you think. I'm telling you, I love comments. I'll read everyone and I'll respond. I promise you that. No doubt about it. And of course, subscribe. Please subscribe to Invest Strong. I'd appreciate it. Thank you so much and good blessings.